Okay, out here today with Case Ingersoll 448 hydriv, and today I'm going to be looking at the floppy seats. And let me show you what that looks like. Right now, the seat kind of has a certain wobble to it. It's attached good in the back. We can see the rubber mounts are good here and here. The seat pan's got a little rust there, and the front ones seem to be ripped out. So I'm going to take the seat off, get a look, and see what kind of repair we're going to do on this one. Now let's see if this thing even gives me a chance taking these out. My guess is it's just going to spin because they're all rusted, but let's see. Spinning. It's pretty much what I was banking on. Let's get this. There's usually a seam somewhere on that. Don't see it, but I guess I'll just start anywhere then. This stuff is just driven on. There it comes. Probably be a real fun time getting that back up. Oh yeah, she's rusty and wet. This thing weighs about 50 pounds. Well, maybe less than that. Okay, so as we can see, that seat pan's in pretty sad shape. The back two, these are just spinning. The nuts, there's a hole in it. These ones have already came through. That's why it was flopping in the first place. So I need to do a little metal fabrication before I can even start putting this back together. I might have to get new seat bumpers if these bolts won't come out. This one maybe I can get on it and hold it. And see if that'll turn out. Actually, these are just bolts. A lot of these have rubber with threads coming out of them. It's molded that way. This one looks like just rubber washers, so actually I can just put new bolts if I snap these off, which is actually a good thing, because I could actually repair this without buying anything, which is always good. Fill one. I think I'm getting out the sawzall and or grinder to cut those bolts and make this easier. I think the best way is just I'll take the backs off of these. That way the bolt head will pound through, and I'll be able to reuse these washers for something else. And now I'm left with all my washers, all the rubber washers, and then I will put new hardware through them when I rebuild the seat. Alright, now you can see the seat here. I'm going to try to hold it up to the light so you can see through it. You can see we have some rust damage there, and then here's where all the original mounts were. There's a crack coming off that one, crack coming off this one, and some missing metal, so I think I'll just patch that in a little bit. Alright, now I'm going to try to find some hardware that I can weld on here. I usually like to go stainless steel with most of this stuff, but don't happen to have any of that. But I picked this stuff up at garage sales and stuff. You know, you got like these ridiculous washers. Like, what in the heck are you ever going to use one that big for? You know, believe it or not, you'll find a use for it, because here, why patch in a piece of metal if I can just weld the washer? I'll do it from the inside. Just weld the washer, put a new bolt through, right? So easy. You know, why you're going to cut a piece out and do all that? It's a seat, you know what I mean? These are good, But these are even better. And they're free because I already have them. That'd probably be 50 cents a dollar at the hardware store. Pick them up at garage sales. Please do. And that has a bigger hole, which this side's what might have had been drilled out anyway, so I'm going to go with those. Now just to make sure I get the hole right, because it could be a little back forth, you know, those holes were square and I could assume I could aim for the center there, but it's a little hard to tell where the center was. So I'm going to actually see if I can pull the frame that this mounts to off the tractor, bring it over here. That'll help me make sure they're centered, and I only have to do this once and don't have to put this, weld it, and then drill out wherever the real hole is supposed to be. Here's what I'm looking at. We got a hinge pin here. That hinge pin can come out through a mini hole here, but it'll hit this fender. So that fender's got to come off. Looks like a couple of bolts and we'll be there. Looks like 4 bolts might take that fender right off. 2 on the top. Ooh, that one's tight. Yeah. There it goes. One on the bottom, one on the side here. Let's see if I can get those 2 to go all the way now. One more on the side back. See if it'll go with the impact. Can't even fit the impact in there. Need to get an extension. There we go. Come right off. Now I can pull the hinge pin out this side. Now it's probably going to hit the tire. Got the hinge pin partially out. See if I can grab it from this side. Looks like we might have to pull that tire if I want to get it all the way off. Let's see what happens. I don't think we're really going to sneak that by. And I don't think it'll come out far enough to get past the hinge pin. Come on. Yeah, I can get it past the first one. Now the tire's in the way. Alright, had to take the tire off. Just the smartest way to do this. There we go. Now I can bring this, because they're perfectly spaced the way I'm going to need them. Okay, now back to the seat pan. When I was pulling it out, these parts got ripped up a little bit there. I'm just going to get those down and then grind around where I'm going to weld that washer. Just make those flush or less. Okay, I'm just going to clean up this metal a little bit where I'm going to put those washers. Bigger. being a little conservative right here. There's ribs that are supposed to obviously add strength to that seat back, so you don't really want to take away too much metal. Alright, got some used metal here. Recycled, upcycled, whatever you want to call it. And then this piece just happens to have a roll, a curly roll on it, so I'll just cut it straight down from top to bottom. Give me it. Alright, I'll just hammer it until I get it to the contour that I think I'm looking for. Okay, I've got the metal kind of roughed out. Right here it's sitting up real high yet, but I'm just going to start tacking it in the front and then I can hammer it as I go back. I got a little curve started here, so I'm just going to hold that, give it a couple tacks and go from there. Okay, I've been doing a little welding. I got everything laying down like I want it to. You're seeing it. The bottom is that part and this is the back. I curved it up into the back a little bit just to give the back some more strength. It does have pretty good metal here yet that's going to hold it, but what was there, I just didn't want the seat to ever fold back for any reason, so I did curve that metal into it a little bit. So just for that reason I'm going to take and make these welds a little stronger. The rest of it is pretty much just holding it from sliding, really. I'll have bolts through two parts of it anyway, but I'm going to weld a little bit more along what's the top. Then I'm going to go on the bottom and just weld some of the old metal into this in random spots wherever it's floppy. Okay, that's pretty much the finished unit like I wanted it. I'm not going to put too much welds along this front side because these are going to have the washers going over both the old and the new. But in the back I'm just going to take and, like, this part is kind of oil canning up a little bit. I'm just going to weld some of that old metal down to my new pan and maybe get a couple of these cracks so they won't propagate anymore, I guess, but just so they have an end point. Okay, I got the seat mount under there. I got one bolt just holding it loosely, but what I noticed is I have quite a bit of movement, so I'm going to actually watch this one so I can get it centered before I weld down these washers. So actually, if I can hold it right there, it's going to be perfect, because I don't want the seat to be crooked on the mount or whatever. Let me look at this one. Try not to move the other one. Yeah, it's all the way over there. So I'm going to actually move it a little bit yet. It's about in the center of where I think that square was. Double check this one. Yep, right there. So now I'm just going to weld these washers on to locate the washers. Okay, I've got the washers locked in where they'll go. Now I just got to wait till that cools down a bit and get those nuts off, put the bolts from the top, and work on the back ones. Drill holes through the back wherever they're supposed to be into here. Alright, the front ones are ready. Now I'm just going to drill the back ones where they go through. Okay, for these two, I'm pretty much ready. I got the washers welded on the other side. So I'm going to take off one at a time. And put the original washers back through. Which would have been one on that side. And my question is the hardware I got gonna really grab? Yeah, once I smush that down, that'll be just fine. I thought I still might need to get a little bit bigger washer. We'll see how it goes. A little bit bigger bolt, I mean. A little longer, maybe. Yeah, this one's gonna not cooperate. Okay, we got a little bit of extra metal in there now, so I thought it might be able to be long enough. Let me go get a different size. Okay, actually I'm gonna go with the carriage bolt. The heads are a little flatter. I don't think it's really gonna poke up in your butt anyway, but I was thinking the other ones did thread just into the seat, so this one will be more out of the way. And again, these ones are just long enough. Okay, so I got the carriage bolts through the other side. Now let's tighten these up a little, see what we have. Yeah, those are going to be perfect length. Alright, these are already drilled. I think I moved it a little since then. Good. And then I could start setting up the washers and everything for that side. Okay, I got the back washers set where they go. I'm going to weld those, and then before I go to bolt them, I'm going to hammer the washers down so that metal's sitting all the way down like it should be. It might be up just a hair from, it might be sitting away from the original metal just because I didn't get it pounded flat, but it will be. Alright, just got done welding the washers down. Let that cool off, take those bolts, flip them over, and put the carriage tops from this side down. Alright, just putting I had to drill the tops bigger to clear the carriage part. the carriage square part. Oh, right. Gotta put the washer, rubber washer under. Still warm, still warm. Alright. Then this, can I make it? I'm going to hammer those down now. I forgot to do that already. If I hammer these down a hair, it'll give me a little more clearance. Because those are just on the borderline of not making it and making it. And they're also just on the borderline of frying my hands, even now. If I can push it, get that to compress a little bit, this will bite. If not, might have to do a plan B. And all these rubber washers are doing is insulating you from the main vibrations of the machine. Can't quite get this one. Let me try starting the other side, see how that goes. Actually, maybe I'll start here, put the washer in the dished out area. That might give me just what I need. It's almost there. Let me try the other one first. There's a pretty good amount of gap there between the original seat pan and the one I'm putting, the patch and the original pan. So this one will probably be the same thing, too short, pretty much. Alright, I have to work on this for a little bit off. Okay, I just had to compress that a little bit, and then I was able to get those nuts to go on. Now this side is good. What I'm going to do, just for my own use, in case I ever have to, or the next guy has to take this apart, I'm going to weld these heads so that will never spin, and you could actually remove the seat just with the bolts done, just with the nuts from the other side, and the bolts will stay right where they're at. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'll let that cool just a hair, and then I'll go for the put the cushion back on and see where we're at. got a few cracks and stuff. It'll still let the moisture in, but for the most part it's pretty comfortable yet where the part where you actually sit. So I'm going to leave it. This part's torn up here too. That's not the best. It helps if you put it on something and you're able to compress the seat down. It gives you a little slack. These and every seat ever made by this company, I can see the Michigan Seat Company number. Michigan Seat used to make them for just about every manufacturer. Don't know if they still do, probably not. Every one of their seats they ever made, usually this material just shrinks and pulls out, and it wasn't really the best for stuff that sits out. It always has a tendency to shrink up over the years. But I'm going to just get this to fold over and then put that lock, whatever, trim ring back on there. Okay, finished product. Got the, by the way, my seam was here, but as you can see, as I put it back on, it took a little more. It was shrunk over the years. Took a little. It's got a little gap now where that used to be connected. Okay, we got it back on there. I think it weighs another 5 pounds from where we started, between the metal, the washers, and whatever. So let's get this back and figure out how that hinge goes back in there. These go inside of the half round that's there. Get a little hammer to tap that. Okay, I'm just going to try to tap this in a little bit. Has to be turned clockwise a little bit. Forgot about that part. That way the hand will slip in there. It just turned about a 360. Did you see that? And now it's going the other way. Maybe. There we go. And that doesn't have a bit of flop now. Okay, put back on the tire. Finish up this job. Okay, so I put the fender back on, put the wheel back on, and now we have a nice solid seat. Doesn't rock, and makes the thing feel a lot more solid. So as you can see, it's probably worth fixing what you got. You could get a replacement seat. They're not cheap, and then you're still going to have to bolt it up and go through all the disassembly of the old seat to get that off anyway. So I figured might as well use the one that we know fits and is the right size for the tractor. And also one handy thing is, if you're going to park these, this seat has the exact contour to fit the steering wheel. Stays up out of your way properly while you are fueling, and fits the width between the fender wells. Sometimes it's just worth using the one you got. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. share it with others, give it a like, and if you feel like it, put a comment down below. Thanks for watching.